The US and Israel launched a massive campaign inside Iran. Not a warning shot, major combat operations. They hit leadership compounds, military sites, nuclear infrastructure. They reportedly hit buildings near the Supreme Leader's own residence. And at that moment, Iran's internet went completely dark. Not slow, not glitchy, dark, down to 4% connectivity according to NetBlocks. Then Trump came to camera and he said something no sitting American president has ever said out loud. He told Iran's military,
"To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death."
Then he told the Iranian people,
"To the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered, don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations."
That's not language of denuclearization. That's language of regime change. And the question, why, is exactly what we are unpacking today. Because what Trump really fears goes way deeper than a bomb. Stay with me. So the Operation Washington is calling Operation Epic Fury, paired with Israel's roaring lion, hit multiple Iranian cities simultaneously. Now the official story they are giving out goes like this. They are targeting nuclear infrastructure and IRGC command structures. But multiple outlets, CBS, AP, Reuters, reported that strikes hit areas near Khamenei's own residence. You see, that's not just disarmament, that's an attempt to take the head off the snake. Then came the internet layer. Iran's internet connection dropped low, below 4% connectivity. Prayer apps went offline, state media gone, and NetBlocks noted that this pattern resembled state-ordered shutdowns, meaning in the middle of being bombed, Tehran may have also blinded its own people to prevent them from organizing. When you are going to war in 2026, you unplug the Wi-Fi first. Iran's response came fast. The IRGC fired ballistic missiles at US bases across the Gulf, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Kuwait, Jordan. Now, debris from intercepted missiles unalived one person in the UAE. Explosions were reported near the US Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Schools shut, and embassies told residents to stay inside. Now, countries like the UAE and Qatar didn't choose this war, but they host American power, and that makes them targets. Now, hold this question in your mind. If Iran already had a nuclear weapon, does any of this happen the same way? We will come back to that. Now, most coverage tells you Trump fears Iran getting a bomb and moves on. But why is that story even existing? There are 3 layers in this particular story you're listening to, and each one of them is more revealing than the last. Fear 1. The balance of power. Right now, if the US and Israel wants to strike Iran, they can. We just watch them do it. Iran has no nuclear deterrent, but the moment Iran gets a bomb, that changes completely. Now, there is an African proverb: when the music changes, so does the dance. The moment Iran has a nuclear weapon, the music changes. You can't launch a first strike on a nuclear state, and you can't pressure a country that can threaten you with annihilation. Every military option the US and Israel have today, harder, and some become impossible. Now, this is the part some analysts say is Iran's actual motivation. Deterrence, not aggression. Iran watched Iraq get invaded in 2003 after having no weapons of mass destruction. It watched Gaddafi give up its nuclear program in 2003 and get toppled in 2011 by NATO. Gaddafi gave up his nukes, and 8 years later, he was gone. So you think Tehran didn't notice? Fear number 2, the domino effect. The US and Israel don't just fear Iran with a bomb. They fear who comes next. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said it publicly in 2018 that if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, Saudi Arabia will seek its own. Then Turkey, Egypt. Chatham House researchers call this proliferation by emulation. One country breaks the dam, the others follow. Now, for a US already managing nuclear tensions with Russia, China, and North Korea simultaneously, a nuclear Middle East is one too many plates spinning. Fear 3, the wildcats, and this is the one nobody wants to say out loud on TV. Hezbollah fighters, IRGC volunteers, certain proxies. Now, they operate within ideological networks where martyrdom is not punishment. For some, it's a reward. You see, classic deterrence assume your enemy doesn't want to die. But what if dying is part of the deal? Now, and this matters, most serious scholarship on Iran's actual behavior says the leadership is not suicidal. You see, after the Soleimani assassination in 2020, Iran fired missiles at a US base in Iraq, gave warnings in advance, and deliberately avoided US casualties. That's calculated, that's rational. You see, the gap between the fear and the evidence, that's exactly where wars begin. That's where wars get made. Now, there is a city that sold one idea. We are the safe Middle East. Wars could rage in Yemen, Syria, Iraq. But Dubai was supposed to be different. Shopping malls, skyscrapers, conferences, deals. If you're African, you probably know someone who works there, does business there. Millions do. Then Iran's missiles came. The UAE and Bahrain didn't start this war. They just hosted American power, and Iran's message was clear and direct. If you host American power, you are on the battlefield. Debris from intercepted missiles unalived a person in the UAE. Fires near Palm Jumeirah, explosions near the US Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Schools moved online. Residents filmed smoke from their apartments. Now, here is what matters most for us. The Gulf is one of Africa's most important critical remittance corridors. Millions of East and West African workers send money from the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia every single month. Now, according to World Bank data, remittance from the Gulf into sub-Saharan Africa run into the billions annually. So, political instability in Dubai is not just a headline. For those families, it's a direct threat to next month's school fees. So when someone tells you this is not Africa's war, ask them about the workers in the Gulf. Ask them about the fuel bills. Now, Africa is one of the world's largest net importers of petroleum. Many African countries don't refine their own oil. They buy it, and global oil prices price themselves off Gulf market conditions. You see, after Ukraine in 2022, fuel-driven inflation hit Africa hard. IMF data shows it was among the most severe in a generation. Kenya, Ghana, Ethiopia, governments were forced to cut spending, borrow, watch protests erupt at fuel pumps. And another Gulf disruption runs the same playbook. But here is where the story turns, because not everyone loses. Nigeria, Mozambique, Senegal, Tanzania, these countries sit on significant natural gas reserves. After Ukraine, Europe scrambled to diversify away from Russian gas and turn to African LNG. If Iran's war further disrupts Gulf energy routes, the demand for African alternatives goes up again. The window is real. Countries like Senegal, with its offshore Sangoma field, producing since 2024, are already positioned. You see, war's a bad thing. We shouldn't start it in the first place. And everyone else in the world seems to take opportunity in every situation except Africa. In this situation, the question isn't whether an opportunity exists. It does. The question is whether African governments and investors move fast enough to build the infrastructure to capture it. Wars reshape energy maps. The question is which Africans will be ready to redraw their own position on that map. So, what is Trump really afraid of? He is afraid that a nuclear Iran becomes an Iran he can no longer control. One that shields its proxies, one that flips the power balance in the world's most volatile region. He is afraid Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt follow, and suddenly the Middle East becomes a nuclear neighborhood no one can manage. And underneath all of that, there is a quieter fear that ideology might make an enemy less rational, less deterrable. Is Iran irrational? The evidence says no. Does the fear drive policy anyway? Clearly, yes. That gap between fear and evidence is exactly where wars are justified. For Africa, the lesson is simple. Wars between great powers are never contained between great powers. The shrapnel lands everywhere, in fuel prices, in food cost, in cyber proceedings, in the decisions your government makes about which foreign military base to host. So we are 55 nations, a young population, resources the world needs. We are not spectators in this history. So the real question is not whether this war affects Africa. We have already answered that. The question is what you and the people making decisions in your name are going to do about it. So find out where your country stands. Find out your government's position on this. Ask the hard questions and share this with someone who needs to hear it. I'm Mason Welwis. You are watching Africa Today, and this is the Strategic Lens. Bye. See you in my next video.